Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear brothers and sisters. Welcome back to this series where I am diving deep into Islamic history, and personally I wanted to know a bit more about some of those big personalities that we hear of. And I got Sheikh Abid and Uba this morning to bring him down here with me and ask him these questions personally. Sheikh, we've been going through a few personalities and I wanted to know about a famous Quran reciter. We have one of his modes of recitation, al-Kisai. I was wondering if you could tell me a bit more about him specifically. And I know he achieved so much in the development and formation of the recitations. So what more do I need to know about him?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So with al-Kisai, what you have is both someone who had the qira'at knowledge, the knowledge of the way of reciting in the mode. So you have Hafs and Asim, which we often hear, especially over here in the UK and many other parts of the world. You'll have to go to, let's say, the Maghrib, places like Tunisia and Algeria and the like, and you might hear a bit more of Warsh, etc. Al-Kisai was one of the Qurra as well. However, what you have also is a Kisai which is less so known to perhaps a broader audience, and that is an expert in the Arabic language itself. Now, what's really fascinating here is that almost like all of the individuals that we consider when we in our discussions, they didn't start off like that. They started off just like you and I and every other person out there, people who didn't know. And in fact, Allah says this in the Quran, Allah akhrajakum min butuni ummahatikum la ta'lamuna shay'a. Allah brought you out into this world, and you didn't know anything at that stage. Yes. These imams, these giants, these personalities and dignitaries
all started off zero.
They were also started from zero. But then they built up incrementally, bit by bit, with effort, with perseverance and resilience. That tenacity is what kind of pays off. But just to depict and illustrate how this was for al-Kisai, what you have is a couple of anecdotes which kind of really set the scene very clearly. So you have to start by looking at Kisai when he was a young man, but he wasn't young in the way that we might imagine someone who's going to become a
Hafid at 6.
Yeah, exactly.
Mufti by 12.
Precisely. So he was not that for individual. He's now 20 and counting, and he's a shepherd.
So university age. I just want to give context. Okay.
Yeah, precisely. And he's a shepherd. And but he's just taking care of someone else's sheep and the like and stock. And there's a mother who's taking her child to school, a madrasa as it would be called. And she's taking her child to the school, and the child's kind of, being a bit lackluster in its desire to go to school. It's like, no, I don't want to go. And the mom just says, look, yallah, let's go. You have to go to school, otherwise you're going to end up like that guy over there.
Oh, what a blow.
And Kisai didn't say anything at the time, but it left a resoundingly clear message in his mind, to his mind.
I got to fix that.
That I want to fix up, go pattern up, as they say, right? So yeah, so he's absolutely going to kind of, and he said, you know what, I'm going to change this.
Yeah.
And on a separate instance, and this really, it'll tell you something about what that inner journey, the inner experience of this transition from Kisai the shepherd, Kisai the linguistic expert and Imam, as you will see, it's soon to come. So then he sits down, and he wants to sit down with a group of people, and they're kind of like, don't join us. They didn't want to say it quite like that. And he spoke, but he wasn't educated and the like. And obviously this is not right, it's not Islamically acceptable.
Yeah.
But the people kind of were saying, he came and sat down and said, I want to sit down with you guys, I'm tired. And the word he used, Eid, was a word which they said, you can't just say that like if you're tired, like physically exhausted from being a shepherd or the like. That word is not used for physical lethargy and tiredness. It's like mental exhaustion once you've been analysing, reading, or been really
just can't think anymore.
Something over in your mind. And so they're like, you don't. In essence, even I find it hard to even relate to you, Hisham, is saying that don't sit with us and chill with us because that's not how you speak.
Yeah.
And he thought, I'm going to educate myself.
Wow.
Right? And what's remarkable is how he went about doing that. So now in linguistics, if you want to become really special, I mean, even till today, if you wanted to do kind of sort of anthropological study, you'd go out into the field itself, amongst people and observe.
Yeah.
And that's how they did it. So
how language is used.
So he would go to different regions and tribes, and noting down how they speak and how the language is used, exactly.
Okay.
Right? And he says, كتبت كل يوم 5 مسائل. Every single day, I wrote down and collated simply 5 missiles, 5 areas or issues and observations I noted them down. Just 5.
5 a day.
5 a day.
Wow.
Literally. But with that, he reaches such a height of scholarship and, distinction, imama.
Wow.
That literally, he is the founder of the Kufan school of Arabic linguistics. Because in Arabic linguistics, there are a few different schools, a bit like you have in the fiqhi madahib, right? But there are 2 main ones which stand head and shoulder above all other schools and approaches to Arabic grammar. Yeah. There's the Kufan school and the Basran school. The leader and the founder, you could say, and the guy who people hearken up unto was al-Kisai. The guy started when he's 20 years old, not knowing any of these kind of intricate details at all.
So it's crazy. So this guy who got, kind of burnt being like the bin man and took it upon himself to go, I really need to fix my state, educating himself and becoming this Imam rather than just going, yeah, well, I'm stuck in my ways kind of thing. I think that's really, really inspiring about his story that many I've not heard before. I just know him as, the Imam. Yeah. SubhanAllah.
And what's really also noteworthy, and I think it's probably the point that's most easily missed out of this, because perhaps from it you can gauge the importance of consistency, the importance of incremental learning, but what's noteworthy is that he was actually learning for himself. He didn't need an external incentive that, he's going to get paid this. He's going to be on a podcast or there's no platform that was waiting for him, that was awaiting him. Which is important because obviously, I'll often say that we need to create some sort of, opportunity so that it creates that pipeline of talent amongst Muslims who will take their learning and their education seriously and be contributors to society's discussions and discourse and communal discussions.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't be kind of the deciding factor. Yeah. There needs to be this ability within ourselves that we can kind of, recognize that we need to educate ourselves for our own sake, for our own selves, right?
I think that's a beautiful lesson because he really put nothing else as a priority than his own self-gratification and satisfaction, in the sense that I just need to improve for myself and just so I can live better and feel comfortable in myself. I think that's a beautiful thing. The 5 a day is amazing that he just started off such a low number.
The point about for yourself, Imam Malik said something similar. He said, they said, how did you reach imama, like a status of such distinction? He said, I was learning for my own sake. As in, because if you're trying to learn in a way which is comparative, I want to make sure I'm more knowledgeable than person X. Yeah. But as soon as I can think I've reached that stage,
that's it.
I've done.
Yeah.
Show's over. But actually, if you're doing it because you really want to excel in it intrinsically, then you stop when Allah determines you're going to stop.
Yeah, you just continue because you've not.
As Imam Ahmad rahimahullah used to say, "Min al-mahdi ila al-lahad," from the cradle to the grave, right? And it's that kind of instinct that kind of really led to his rising to the heights.
SubhanAllah. So being a linguist, obviously, he had obviously the Quranic side to him as well.
Yes.
Now I know that you said there was a funny incident where he twisted that and he had something where he changed over. What was that about?
So this is actually where there was a group of individuals that basically, this was with Ash-Shatibi and Ibn Malik. Ibn Malik was also a linguist, right? And he's the one who wrote the 1,000-couplet poem that's known as the Alfiya and Al-Kafiya, as well as the commentary on it. But he himself was, again, a qari, right? Later on, but he was a qari of the Quran. He knew the 7 qira'at, including that of what's coming from al-Kisai. And he was a qari. His friend, his buddy, you could say, who they used to relax, chill together, etc., was a Shaltabi, right? A Shaltabi here is not the Shaltabi from al-I'tisam and Wafqat, who the Usuli scholar, but he was a qari, right? And so basically, before Ibn Malik was actually a grammarian, he was into qira'at.
Okay.
And Al-Shatibi was into grammar. And not qira'at. And so what happened is they sat down together and said, in essence,
I could do what you could do.
I challenge you. Why don't you try and take on my field and know it as much as I do? And the other said, okay, fine, then you do the same with my field.
Yeah.
Right? And these are youngsters. It wasn't their field. They weren't imams in that field yet. Yeah. But actually they took it on so seriously that they exceeded each other's expectations, and then they carried on. Because again, even though they, in their instances, started with, that comparative thing in mind, soon their mindset shifted and their intention became, I need to do this because I want to actually excel in it.
Amazing, subhanallah. I love the parallels between the two great imams. The fact that they came from such a, they're known for something, but they had different beginnings. Subhanallah, it's very profound. And hopefully, inshallah, we can touch upon more next time.
Inshallah.